the next 10 to 15 minutes is really go through just kind of the fundamentals you need to have in place this summer with LinkedIn, Facebook for your business, and blogging. And obviously we've been getting a lot of questions over the last few weeks on really what the focus should be. So today's webinar is more of a kind of a focus webinar. I want to just get you thinking about the right things. Obviously you may have a little bit more time on your hands for the rest of July and August. These are really good times to use these things as social media traffic actually doubles during the summer. So hopefully you can take a few concepts away from the training and actually implement them this summer. So let's start off with LinkedIn. And you know, the most common question I get from people is they say, I have a profile, but it's not really doing anything for me. And what I want to reiterate today is that the profile, it's not going to do anything for you. It's really a tool that hopefully you can use to either create more credibility or potentially be proactive with to generate referrals. So what I want you thinking about with LinkedIn today are really the 4 keys to success. The first key is having your profile set up. And again, we've kind of touched on this in the past. What you want to focus on is not writing a resume. You know, and that's what I see a lot of people doing. You go to their profile and it looks like they're interviewing for a job, even though they may be the president of their own company. So step 1 is to really set up your profile so it's more of a marketing profile. It really tells people who you are, how you can help them, and how they can request your help. And you know, yes, there's going to be things on there where you can have your past experiences and your skills and your expertise. But I think what you want to focus on today with the setup of the profile is make sure in that summary section, and I'll hopefully just pull up my profile real quick here. I probably should have had it up. But make sure in your summary section that, and I'm just kind of scrolling down to mine right here, that you really are specific. You're kind of short and sweet, and you tell people who you are, what you specialize in, how you can help people, and obviously how they can get in contact with you. If you want to add more depth, obviously you'll see I've added some videos. You can definitely add videos and PowerPoints and PDFs. And certainly if you have questions on how to do that, just email me after the webinar and I'll send you a quick 10-minute training on how to add that stuff. But my point for LinkedIn is, 1, you need to have your profile set up so that if people do find it, you're going to convert that person to either website traffic or you're going to convert them to feeling very comfortable doing business with you. That's kind of part 1. That's the easy part. Part 2 is a little bit more time consuming, and that is you really should be connecting with as many people as possible. You know, I've hit on it on the past that if you want to get away from this aspect of it's not doing anything for me and that you want to actually use it, what you're going to end up doing is starting to use the marketing tools on LinkedIn. But those marketing tools really aren't that valuable unless you can get a lot of connections. The connections become the distribution. Just like email marketing back 15 years ago, you really couldn't be successful with email marketing if you didn't have enough email addresses. With LinkedIn, it's the same concept. You want to get connections because that becomes people you can influence. So suggestion number 2 this summer, connect with as many people as possible. I don't care if it's current clients, prospects, friends, even your competitors. Connect with those people. Then once you connect with them, step 3 is to make sure that you're going into your profile, you're clicking on connections, and you're actually putting these people into organized folders. Again, I've done kind of a specific webinar in the past about that, and I can certainly send anyone who's interested in figuring that out. But you really want to make sure that you're going through the new people you've connected with, you're putting a check next to them, you're clicking the tag button, and you're putting them in a folder. You know, as I've mentioned in the past, that's kind of the next step, the next level, is you've connected with people. Now you're putting them into folders. Maybe it's current clients, potential clients, current auto insurance clients, business owners, individuals, whatever you want to come up with that can categorize these people so that when you do step 4, which is using the LinkedIn messaging tools, you have something, right? Because really the way you're going to be successful doing things with LinkedIn is really targeting a specific target market, sending a message that's written for that target market. So an example, let's say you're an employee benefits agency and you have 1,000 connections, and 250 of those connections are entrepreneurs and business owners. You really should have a folder called Entrepreneurs and Business Owners. That way, when you go in and send a message, you can say, hey, entrepreneurs and business owners, did you know that compliance changes are affecting everybody, as of 9/1/2015? Here are the 3 things you need to do to be compliant. Call us if you have any questions. You send that to 200 business owners, you're going to get results. If you send it to just 1,000 people, who knows what it is, people are going to get mad at you, and it's not going to work. So that's why, one, you want to have the profile really set up to speak to people so that they understand who you are and what you specialize in. 2, you want to be connecting with people because that then gives you the ability to communicate later on. Once you connect with them, you want to put them into organized folders. And then once you have them in organized folders, now you can actually message these people when something good comes across that's worth messaging. And the reason we do that is because we know that if we send emails out to people, we're getting about a 40% read-through rate. We know if we use LinkedIn's messaging tools, we're getting about an 80% read-through rate. It's a 40% increase on normal email. That's why we're doing all that stuff. So again, I'm only spending a few minutes today on LinkedIn, but I think my point is there are things to do. And if you're sitting there saying it's not doing anything for me, to be honest, you're still kind of at level 3 out of 10. If you want to get to level 7, 8, and 9 out of 10, you got to understand that there's different components to it. There's things you should be doing. The unfortunate part, and I wish this wasn't the case, but the unfortunate part is it is a bit time consuming. It's not easy to connect with 1,000 people. And I have about 6,000 connections now. People say, well, what did you do to get to 6,000 connections? I said, I don't know. I just add like 1 a day. I've been doing that for the last 8 years. Now I have 6,000. Unfortunately, that's the reality. So what your goal should be this summer is really to at least make sure your profile's set up and start getting into good habits. And if you can do that, it's going to help you become much more efficient. And so those are my tips with LinkedIn. With blogging, obviously, a lot of questions we've received on blogging lately. The problem now is oversaturation is becoming a factor. Probably you guys have gone to different conventions, you go to different local meetings, and I don't want to say they brainwash you, but they feel that talking about blogging is going to make you pay attention to them. So they tell you, oh, you have to have a blog. It's going to help your search engine optimization. It's going to change your life to have a blog. When the reality is that's probably not the case. I would say at this point, if we're talking about the insurance industry, probably 45% of all agencies now have blogs. So, I mean, there's thousands of them. So the question is whose blog is better than the other guy? And in my opinion, the guy whose blog is valuable is the guy who gets people to read his blog. That's kind of half the battle. And to get people to read your blog, you can't just depend on people randomly finding it. You actually have to market it. You have like a system. So what I want you to think about today is okay, if I'm going to have a blog, how often should I post and what should I be writing about? So my opinion is if you have a blog, you should be writing at least once a month. If you can't keep up with once a month, you're probably not ready for a blog. And I mean that in a positive sense. Your time should be better used elsewhere. We're all entrepreneurs. Time is money. We can't be wasting time on stuff that isn't going to pay the bills per se. So I think your mindset has to be, I have to write 12 blogs a year. And what you should be doing from a writing standpoint, and these things don't have to be long. They can be 1 or 2 paragraphs. But I believe that they should be your opinion on something. Maybe a review about something that's going on. Maybe it's a how-to. Maybe, again, I'll use that business owner thing. How to be compliant. These are the 5 things you have to do to be compliant. Stuff like that. An idea that you have. Those are excellent blogging topics. Now, of course, in this age, to each his own, right? But on the flip side, I truly believe that you're wasting your time if you're just kind of reposting a news story. I see that a lot too, and that's why I mention it. I see the insurance carriers, especially on the property and casualty side of things. They'll come up with their top 10 tips to avoid lightning strikes or what to do in a disaster, and it's good material. Don't get me wrong, but then I'll see the agencies going to their blog and just copying and pasting it and putting it in their blog, and in their opinion, that's good. I don't agree with that. I think that the consumer, they don't see the value in you reposting the carrier stuff. In my opinion, that's the kind of thing you should just post on social media. Get it off on social media. It's a kind of a quick thought. A blog really should be branded. It really should be about you. It should really be you projecting your specialty, your expertise, your brain power. So try to stay away from reposting other people's blogs and just random news stuff. Keep that stuff on social media. It's better, it's more efficient and simpler. When we're talking about Facebook, I think the one thing I always try to get through to people, because I think people overanalyze it, I guess is my point, is Facebook is kind of like the modern day drip marketing used to be. You think back to email marketing and how people were successful with drip marketing. It was really about the consistency of it. And if you can just drip on people over time, eventually something happens, and obviously they call you up. And I think that's what Facebook's become. I think the people that are successful with Facebook, they get it. It's about posting every day. Just something simple. I had some suggestions here. I said educational material, links to important news stories, maybe an out-of-the-box story, or something interesting. These are the top 5 things an entrepreneur does each morning. Just stuff that people kind of out of the corner of their eye, they recognize it. Now, are they going to go and meticulously read what you're posting? They may not. In my opinion, it may not be that relevant. But what is relevant is out of the corner of their eye, they recognize you. They recognize your agency, and they kind of put that in the back of their mind, let's say. And, it's the consistency of doing it each day. And then eventually, something's going to happen to these people, right? Whether it's a life event or, they start a new company or something. And hopefully at that point, you've dripped on them enough subconsciously, and boom, they call you up. Or they check out your post that really deeply that day and then go to your website. So I think that needs to be the mindset moving forward with Facebook, at least for the rest of this year, is don't, if you're sitting there for 25 minutes trying to think about what you're posting, oh, you've already lost big time. You really want to just be efficient. Get some good content out there, politically correct stuff. I don't want to see stuff that, you're going crazy about, the presidential race and stuff like that. Stay away from all that stuff. This is representing your business. Keep it politically correct as best you can. Keep it professional. Keep it educational. And just try to do it quickly, efficiently, and make sure it looks good. I think if you can keep that concept moving forward, one, you're going to save time and use that time in other places that are more valuable. But two, I think you'll be better off and you'll be better than your competition. So next week we're going to talk a little bit more about LinkedIn. I want to really get deeper. I did mention some good points today, and I want to talk a little bit more about what I was talking about in option 1 and go through and break down a few things. And we'll go from there. Appreciate your time. Have a good weekend, guys. Thanks again. Bye-bye.